wiped the grease from her hands and stared at the broken cooling system. She had been working on mining station Helios 7 for 3 years now, fixing machines that the aliens were too important to fix themselves. The station floated in empty space, far from Earth, far from everything she once knew. She touched the small bump behind her left ear, the compliance chip. Every human had one. The Dominion put them in when humans turned 10 years old. The chip made people calm, obedient, and easy to control. It made them perfect workers who never complained, never fought back, never questioned anything. But chip never worked right. When the doctors installed it 18 years ago, something went wrong. The chip failed. She could still think her own thoughts, feel her own anger, dream her own dreams. But she learned quickly to pretend. She moved slowly like the others. She spoke in the flat, emotionless voice that all compliant humans used. She never looked the aliens in the eye. The thought humans were simple creatures, barely intelligent enough to follow orders. They never suspected that someone could fake compliance. Why would they? To them, humans were just tools that breathed. Finished repairing the cooling system and headed to the cafeteria. The station housed 200 human workers and 15 overseers. The humans all ate the same gray protein paste and drank recycled water. They sat in silence, chewing slowly, staring at nothing. She sat down with her tray and pretended to eat. Across the room, she noticed Lee watching her. He was the maintenance chief, older than most workers, maybe 45. He had been on the station longer than anyone else. His eyes met hers for just a second, and something passed between them, a flicker of recognition, of awareness. His heart beat faster, but she kept her face blank. She finished her meal and returned to work. That night she found a note tucked into her tool kit. It was written on a scrap of metal, scratched in tiny letters. Storage room 7, midnight, come alone. Almost threw the note away. It could be a trap. The Dominion tested workers sometimes, looking for defects, but something told her this was different. She had been alone for so long, pretending every day, hiding who she really was. If there was even a chance that someone else was like her, she had to know. At midnight, she slipped through the dark corridors. The station was quiet except for the hum of machines. She reached storage room 7 and pushed open the door. 3 people waited inside. Lee stood in the center. Next to him was a young woman named Jinnah who worked in communications. The third was a man called Shin, one of the cargo pilots. "Close the door," said. His voice was different than during the day. It had emotion. It had life. Closed the door and locked it. "You're all awake," she whispered. "Just like you," Jinnah said. "We've been watching you for months. You're good at pretending but not perfect. Sometimes your eyes show too much." Felt tears forming. She hadn't cried in years. How many of us are there? Smiled sadly. On this station, just us 4, but across the solar system, over 2,000. We've been building a network slowly, carefully. We find the awakened ones and connect them. We share information. We prepare. "Prepare for what?" asked. Stepped forward. "For freedom. For the day when we can fight back, but we need more people. We need resources. We need a plan." Pulled out a data tablet. "I've been studying the Dominion for years. They're powerful, but they're not perfect. They have weaknesses. And the biggest weakness is that they completely underestimate us." He showed her files and maps, security patterns, ship schedules, weapon systems, years of careful observation, all stored in secret. "Why are you showing me this?" asked. "Because you're an engineer," said. "One of the best on this station, and because we think you can help us. We're planning something big, but first we need to survive tomorrow." "What happens tomorrow?" Jinnah's face went pale. "A Dominion inspection team is coming. They have new scanners, advanced technology. They can detect if compliance chips are working properly." Felt cold fear spread through her chest. "When?" "They arrive at 8 in the morning," Jinnah said. "I intercepted the message 2 hours ago. We have no time to run, nowhere to hide. If they scan us, they'll know. And they'll kill us." The room fell silent. His mind raced. She thought about the cooling system she had just repaired. She thought about the station's layout, the power grid, the emergency systems. "What if we don't run?" she said slowly. "What if we create a reason for them to not scan anyone?" Leaned forward. "What do you mean?" "The cooling system for the main reactor," explained. "I could sabotage it, make it look like an accident. If the reactor starts overheating, they'll have to evacuate the station. No time for inspections." Shook his head. "That's too dangerous. If the reactor goes critical, it could explode. Everyone on this station could die." "I can control it," said. "I'll set it to overheat slowly. Enough to trigger evacuation protocols, but not enough to cause a real disaster. We'll have time to get everyone to the escape ships." Jenna looked at, "It could work. The Dominion cares about their equipment. They'll prioritize saving the station. They'll delay the inspection." Studied's face. "This is a big risk. If something goes wrong, we're all dead. And even if it works, we'll have to leave this station. We'll be refugees." "Better than being discovered," said. "Better than being executed." The three others looked at each other. Finally, nodded. "Do it. We'll prepare the escape ships. When the evacuation alarm sounds, we'll make sure our people get to the right ship. The one is piloting." They spent the rest of the night planning. At 5 in the morning, went to the reactor room. She bypassed the safety systems and adjusted the cooling flow. Within an hour, the reactor temperature would start climbing. Within 2 hours, it would trigger automatic evacuation. At 7:30, the alarm started blaring. Red lights flashed throughout the station. A mechanical voice announced the emergency. Workers began moving toward the evacuation points in their slow, compliant way. The overseers shouted orders, their translator devices barking in human languages. The inspection team arrived in the middle of the chaos. Overseer, the station commander, met them at the docking bay. He was furious, gesturing wildly as he explained the reactor problem. The inspectors looked annoyed but agreed to postpone their work. Watch from a distance as humans filed onto escape ships. She saw shepherding specific workers towards cargo hauler. Workers whose eyes showed a hint of awareness. Workers who were probably like them. She made her way to the cargo hauler last. As she climbed aboard, she took one final look at the station. It had been her prison for 3 years. Now she was leaving, heading into an unknown future. The ship's engines roared to life. Through the window, watched mining station Helios 7 grow smaller. She had saved herself and the others, at least for now. But she knew this was just the beginning. The Dominion would look for them. They would have questions. Set course for Luna Station 3. In the cargo hold, 15 awakened humans sat together, no longer pretending to be compliant. For the first time in years, allowed herself to smile. She wasn't alone anymore. None of them were. The war for humanity's freedom had begun. The cargo hauler flew through dark space for 3 days before reaching Luna Station 3. Spent most of that time talking with the other awakened workers. Each had a story about their broken chip, about years of pretending, about the loneliness of being aware in a world of sleepwalkers. When they finally docked at Luna Station 3, led them through maintenance tunnels to a hidden section of the facility. Here, away from eyes, they found a large room filled with people. Hundreds of them, all awakened, all free. A woman approached them. She was thin and tall, with tired eyes that showed great intelligence. "Welcome," she said. I've been waiting for to bring you." "How is this possible?" asked, looking around at the crowd. "How have you hidden so many people?" Smiled. "The Dominion thinks we're all idiots. They never look too closely at their human workers. We've been building this network for 8 years, moving people carefully, creating false records, hiding in plain sight. There are groups like this on 12 different stations and colonies." She led them to a conference room where maps and screens covered the walls. Saw star charts, station layouts, and what looked like scientific diagrams. "I need to show you something," said. Something that will make you understand what we're really fighting against." She pulled up an image on the main screen. It showed a compliance chip thousands of times. "We've studied these chips for years. We understand how they work now, and what we discovered is horrifying." Leaned forward. "What do you mean?" "The chips don't just control us," explained. "They harvest our thoughts, our ideas, our creativity. Every time a compliant human solves a problem or has an original thought, the chip copies that neural pattern and sends it to Dominion computers." Felt sick. "They're stealing our minds." "Worse," said a new voice. A woman named Jinnah, not the same Jinnah from the mining station, stepped forward. She worked in communications and had access to Dominion networks. "I've been intercepting their transmissions for 2 years. The Dominion's greatest technological advances in the last 20 years all came from stolen human cognition. We're not their workers, we're their thinking machines." Nodded. "Human brains have something no other alien species has: neuroplasticity. We adapt. We solve problems in ways they never considered. They conquered Earth not to enslave us but to mine our thoughts." The room fell silent as everyone absorbed this information. Thought about her brother Minu, still on Earth, still compliant. His thoughts being stolen every day, his creativity harvested like a crop. "There's more," continued. "I found classified Dominion reports. Earth was specifically targeted. They studied us for decades before they arrived. They were afraid of what humans might become if we developed on our own. So they invaded early, chipped us, and turned us into batteries for their empire." Spoke up. "That's why we need to act now. We have over 2,000 awakened humans. We have information, we have ships. It's time to free more people." Over the next week, they planned their first major operation. The plan was simple but risky. They would simultaneously attack chip maintenance facilities on 12 stations. These facilities performed routine chip updates and repairs. If they destroyed them, the Dominion couldn't install new chips or fix broken ones. More people would start waking up. Volunteered to lead the team attacking the facility on Europa Station. She had become good at thinking like the Dominion, understanding their blind spots, would pilot the ship. 15 others would join them. They prepared carefully. They stole uniforms, forged identification, and memorized every detail of Europa Station's layout. When the day came, felt both terrified and excited. For the first time in her life, she was fighting back. The attack went perfectly at first. Team infiltrated Europa Station, reached the chip facility, and planted explosives. Across the solar system, 11 other teams did the same. At exactly midnight Earth time, all 12 facilities exploded. The message was clear. Humans were fighting back. The Dominion could no longer take humanity's submission for granted. For 3 beautiful days, it seemed like they had won. Hundreds of compliant humans started waking up as their chips malfunctioned without maintenance. The network grew. People celebrated. They talked about freedom, about taking Earth back, about a future without alien control. Then the Dominion responded. Was on Luna Station 3 when the news came. 2 stations, Ganymede 5 and Ceres Outpost, had been completely destroyed. Every human on them was dead. 3,000 people, gone. The Dominion broadcast the executions across every screen in every human facility. The message was simple: obey or die. Watched the footage and felt her hope crumble. She saw Station Commander, a high-ranking Dominion officer, explain calmly that humans were valuable, but not irreplaceable. Any further resistance would be met with total extermination. The room around her filled with crying. People who had just found freedom now faced the reality of their situation. The Dominion had unlimited resources, unlimited ships, unlimited soldiers. The human resistance had a few thousand awakened people and some stolen cargo haulers. Sat down heavily. "We can't fight them," he said. "Not like this, not with weapons and explosions. They'll just keep killing us." But's engineering mind was already working. She thought about the problem differently. The Dominion expected humans to fight like humans, to use violence and direct confrontation, but that was playing their game by their rules. "What if we don't fight them?" she said quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. "What if we outthink them instead?" continued. "They see us as simple tools. They never expect us to be creative. That's our advantage. We need to stop acting like rebels and start acting like engineers. We need to find the flaw in their system and exploit it." Understood first. The chips, the network that connects all the chips, if we could access it, control it. We could free everyone at once, finished. No more small operations. One big move. Every compliant human on Earth, on every station, in every colony, all awakening at the same time. Shook his head. "That's impossible. The chip network is the most secure system in the Dominion. We'd need someone who understands the technology at the deepest level." "I know someone," said a quiet voice. A young woman named Song stepped forward. "I used to work for the Dominion. I helped install chips. I know how they're programmed, and I've been thinking about this problem for years." She walked to a computer and started typing. "The chips have a two-way connection. The Dominion uses it to harvest our thoughts, but theoretically we could send data back the other way. A virus. A signal that would override the chip's control functions." Jinnah joined her at the computer. "I can help with that. I know their network protocols. If we can create the right kind of signal, I can inject it into their system." For hours they worked, provided the scientific knowledge, explained the chip technology. Jinnah mapped the network, coordinated it all, seeing how the pieces fit together. Finally looked up. "I think I can do it, but we'll need to get physical access to a Dominion data nexus. The main hubs that control all the chip networks. There's one on Mars, inside their largest military base." Everyone knew what that meant. A suicide mission. The Mars base held 10,000 Dominion soldiers. It was the most heavily defended location in the solar system except for Earth itself. "I'll go," said. "You can't," protested. "You're too important to the resistance." "I'm an engineer," said. "This is an engineering problem, and I'm the best person to solve it." She looked around at the faces of her people, her family. They had all lost so much already, but they couldn't give up, not after coming this far. "We have one chance to free humanity," she said. "One chance to show the Dominion that they made a mistake when they underestimated us. I'm taking it." Stood, "Then I'm going with you. You'll need a pilot to get you out alive." Others volunteered too. Eventually they had a team of 20. The best fighters, the infiltrators, the most dedicated members of the resistance. They spent a week preparing, training, planning, saying goodbye to friends who might never see them again. The night before they left, received a message from Earth. It was from her brother Minu. She didn't know how it reached her. The message was short, just a few words typed on a screen. But the words were clear and sharp, not the flat speech of a compliant person. "Sister, my chip is breaking. I can think again. I remember you. I remember who we were. Whatever you're doing, I know it's important. Make them pay for what they took from us." Read the message 3 times. Then she deleted it, wiping all traces. But she kept the words in her heart. Her brother was waking up. Maybe others were too. The chip maintenance facilities they had destroyed were having an effect. Time was running out. If they didn't act soon, the Dominion would rebuild the facilities and lock humanity back into compliance forever. The next morning, and her team boarded a stolen Dominion transport ship. They were going to Mars. They were going to infiltrate the most dangerous military base in the solar system, and they were going to change everything. The stolen Dominion ship approached Mars 3 days later, sat in the co-pilot seat next to, watching the red planet grow larger in the window. Somewhere down there was the data nexus. Somewhere down there was humanity's last hope. "We're being hailed," said. "Mars Defense Control wants our identification codes." Jinnah, working at the communication station, activated the stolen credentials. Transmitting now. These codes should be good for another 6 hours before the Dominion realizes they're compromised. They waited, seconds felt like hours, then a response came through. Transport Delta 7, you are cleared for landing. Proceed to docking bay 12. Let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. First obstacle cleared. The ship descended through Mars's thin atmosphere and landed in the massive military complex. Through the windows, could see hundreds of Dominion ships, thousands of alien soldiers and weapon systems that could destroy entire cities. Remember the plan, she told her team. We're maintenance workers here to repair environmental systems. Stay calm. Move like compliant humans. If anyone asks questions, let me do the talking. They filed out of the ship wearing stolen uniforms and carrying tool cases. Inside those cases, hidden under real repair equipment, were the devices and had built the virus that would free humanity. An officer met them at the entrance. He was young, probably inexperienced, which was lucky. You're late, he said through his translator. The environmental systems in Section 7 need immediate attention. Yes, Overseer, said in the flat voice of compliance. We will repair them now. The officer waved them through without checking their identification too closely. Just as they had hoped, the Dominion couldn't imagine humans being smart enough to fool them. They walked through the base, following the stolen maps Jinnah had provided. The place was huge, like a small city built underground. Thousands of Dominion soldiers moved through the corridors. Most ignored the human workers completely. But notice something. Other human workers moved through the halls, compliant and empty-eyed, hundreds of them, all serving their alien masters without question. She wanted to free them all right now, but she couldn't. Not yet. First, she had to reach the data nexus. Section 7 is 3 levels down, whispered. But the data nexus is 5 levels down on the other side of the base. How do we get there without raising suspicion? Had been thinking about this. We split up. Most of the team actually goes to Section 7 and does real repair work. That keeps the Dominion from getting suspicious. A small group comes with me to the Nexus. They divided at the next intersection. 15 team members went to Section 7. Jinnah and one fighter named Nam continued deeper into the base. The corridors became more restricted as they descended. Guards checked their identification at each checkpoint, but the stolen codes held. They were waved through again and again. Finally, they reached level 5. Here, the walls were lined with data cables and computer systems. This was the brain of the Dominion's Mars operation, and somewhere in here was the chip control nexus. There, pointed to a door marked with alien symbols. That's it. That's where the chip network is managed. 2 Dominion guards stood at the door. They looked bored but alert. His heart pounded. This was the moment where their plan could fall apart. She walked up to the guards with her tool case. We're here to repair cooling systems, she said in her compliant voice. The first guard checked a tablet. There's no maintenance scheduled for this area. Emergency repair, said, still keeping her voice flat and emotionless. Cooling malfunction in data systems. If not fixed immediately, systems will overheat. The guards looked at each other. One spoke into a communication device, checking with someone else. Long seconds passed. Fine, the guard finally said. Make it quick, and don't touch anything except the cooling systems. The door opened and they walked in. The room beyond was vast, filled with servers and computers that hummed with power. Screens showed data streaming from thousands of locations. This was where the Dominion monitored every chipped human in the solar system. Immediately moved to a terminal and began working. Her fingers flew over the controls. I'm accessing the network now. Give me 5 minutes to upload the virus. Stood guard at the door, and Jinnah watched the room's other entrances. stood next to, pretending to work on a cooling panel while actually watching her friend's progress. "The security is incredible," muttered. "They have 17 different layers of protection, but I know their systems. I helped build them. I know where the weaknesses are." She typed commands faster than could follow. Lines of code scrolled across the screen. Alarms didn't sound. Guards didn't rush in. They were actually doing it. "Almost there," said. "I'm injecting the virus into the primary network hub. Once it's in, it will spread to every chip control system in the Dominion. Every human everywhere will receive the signal." "How long until it activates?" asked. "We can set a timer. I recommend 1 week. That gives the virus time to spread completely and gives our people time to prepare for what comes next." Nodded. "Do it." Entered the final commands. The screen flashed green. "It's done. The virus is in the system. In 7 days, every compliance chip will stop working. 20 billion humans will wake up all at once." For a moment felt pure joy. They had actually succeeded. Against impossible odds, they had struck a blow that would change everything. Then alarms started blaring. "No, no, no," said, typing frantically. "They detected something, not the virus but our access. They know someone is in their system." Heavy footsteps echoed in the corridor outside. Lots of them, looked at with wide eyes. "We need to move now." They ran. Behind them, the door exploded inward and Dominion soldiers poured into the room. Fired a stolen weapon, dropping 2 soldiers before more rushed in. "This way," shouted, leading them down a side corridor. The base erupted into chaos. More alarms sounded. Blast doors started closing throughout the facility. They had minutes, maybe seconds, before they were trapped. Jenna worked on her handheld device as they ran. "I'm trying to contact the rest of our team, warning them to abort and get back to the ship." They raced through corridors, taking turns seemingly at random, but knew where he was going. He had memorized the entire base layout. Behind them, they could hear soldiers shouting and weapons firing. They reached level 3 when they encountered a squad of guards blocking their path, and opened fire. The narrow corridor became a battlefield. Pressed herself against the wall, heart hammering, as energy weapons lit up the air around her. "We can't fight through them," yelled over the noise. Looked around desperately. They were in a section that controlled environmental systems. She saw pipes, control panels, emergency systems. An idea formed. "Everyone masks on," she shouted, pulling out the emergency breathing mask from her belt. The others did the same. She ran to a control panel and smashed it with her tool. Warning lights flashed. Then she opened an emergency valve. Oxygen started venting from this section of the base. The Dominion soldiers at the end of the corridor started gasping. They fell back, unable to breathe, and her team ran past them, their masks providing air. They kept moving level by level, fighting through or avoiding Dominion troops. 2 more corridors, 1 more level. They were almost to the docking bay. Then they turned a corner and found Commander waiting for them. The same Commander who had ordered the destruction of 2 stations. He stood with 20 elite soldiers, all weapons aimed at the human team. "Stop," said calmly. "You've been clever for humans, but this ends now." His team stopped. There was no way through, no escape. They were trapped. Stepped forward. "You think you've accomplished something, but we will find your virus. We will remove it, and we will punish every human involved in this rebellion. You've only made things worse for your species." Met his eyes. For the first time, she didn't look away. She didn't pretend to be compliant. She let him see her anger, her determination, her humanity. "You're wrong," she said. "You've already lost, you just don't know it yet." Laughed. "Explain, human, what have you won? You're about to die, your team will die, your resistance will be crushed." "You think humans are simple," said. "You think we're just tools for you to use, but you're forgetting something. Humans are survivors. We adapt, we learn, and we never ever give up." She pulled a device from her pocket. It was a transmitter. My team in Section 7 didn't just repair environmental systems. They planted charges throughout your base, enough explosives to destroy this entire facility. His expression changed. You're bluffing. Am I? Smiled. You have a choice. Let us go or everyone dies. Your soldiers, your ships, your precious data, all of it. The commander stared at her. Seconds ticked by. Finally, he lowered his weapon. Let them pass, he ordered his soldiers. The guards moved aside. His team walked slowly through them, weapons still trained on their backs. They reached the docking bay. Their ship was there, surrounded by more guards, but none of them fired. They boarded quickly, took the controls and fired the engines. The ship lifted off, climbing away from Mars. Only when they were clear of the planet did allow herself to breathe, looked at her. That was a bluff, wasn't it? We didn't really plant charges. Completely, admitted, but didn't know that, he couldn't risk it. Was checking her computer. The virus is still active. It's spreading through the Dominion network. They haven't detected it yet. In 7 days, everything changes. But felt no joy. As they flew away from Mars, she received a message, a video from Earth. She opened it with shaking hands. The video showed her brother Minu. He was surrounded by Dominion soldiers. His face was bruised, but his eyes were clear and aware. An officer spoke. We know about your resistance. We know what you did on Mars. And now we're taking hostages. For every act of rebellion, we will execute 1,000 humans, starting with this one. The screen went black, stared at it, tears streaming down her face. They had succeeded in planting the virus, but the cost was going to be terrible. The Dominion would kill millions before the 7 days were up. She had started this war, and now innocent people would pay the price. Watched the execution video again and again. Each time she saw her brother's face. Each time she heard the weapons fire. Each time she died a little inside. The resistance gathered in their hidden base on Luna Station 3. Everyone was there now. Over 3,000 awakened humans, all waiting to see what would happen when the virus activated. But the mood was dark. The Dominion was killing hostages by the hundreds every day. Whole families, entire work crews, anyone they suspected of connection to the resistance. We have to stop this, said. We have to surrender. No, said firmly. If we surrender, they'll kill us anyway, and they'll make sure no other human ever wakes up again. We've come too far. Sat silently, listening to them argue. 5 more days until the virus activated. 5 days of watching the Dominion murder her people. She felt the weight of every death on her shoulders. Sat down next to her. It's not your fault, she said quietly. Isn't it? Replied. I led the mission, I made the choice, and now thousands are dying because of me. Millions were already dying, said. Slowly, quietly, as the Dominion stole their thoughts and worked them to death. You gave humanity a chance to fight back. That's not a crime. But couldn't shake the guilt. She kept seeing her brother's face, kept wondering if there was another way, a path that didn't require so much blood. 3 days before activation, something unexpected happened. A message came through from Jinnah's network, not from other resistance members, but from inside the Dominion itself. An alien wanted to talk. It's a trap, said immediately. But was curious, what does the message say? Jinnah pulled it up. It's from someone calling themselves Arbiter. They claim to be high-ranking in the Dominion Council. They want to negotiate. Negotiate what? Asked. Our surrender. It doesn't say, but they're offering safe passage for one representative to meet them on a neutral station. Stood up, I'll go. Absolutely not, said. It's obviously a trap. They'll capture you and use you as a hostage. Maybe, said, or maybe something else is happening. The Dominion has never offered to negotiate before. Why now? She thought about it carefully. The Dominion was powerful, but they weren't stupid. They had to know that the resistance had done something on Mars. They had to suspect that something big was coming. Maybe they were getting nervous. I'm going, she said again. Alone. If it's a trap, I'll be the only one caught. If it's real, maybe we can end this without more bloodshed. The others argued, but was firm. The next day, she took a small shuttle to the neutral station. It was an old trading post that no one used anymore, floating in empty space between Earth and Mars. She docked and walked through the abandoned corridors. At the center of the station, in what used to be a conference room, she found the alien waiting. Was different from other had seen. Older with strange markings on their skin. They wore simple clothes, not military armor, and their eyes looked tired. You came, said. Their translator gave them a soft voice. I wasn't certain you would. You have 5 minutes to explain why I shouldn't leave, said. Gestured to a chair, sat but stayed alert, ready to run if needed. I am not like Commander began. I am not a soldier. I am a scholar. I study civilizations, and I have studied humanity for many years. Before you enslaved us, asked bitterly. Yes, and after, pulled out a data pad. I want to show you something, information that even most of the Dominion Council doesn't know. They displayed graphs and charts. The Dominion is not united. We are 12 species forced together by economics and fear. We fight each other constantly. We steal from each other. We lie and cheat. The only thing that holds us together is the myth that we are superior to lesser species. Listened carefully. This wasn't what she expected. When we discovered humanity, continued, we were terrified. Your species has something we don't. Adaptability, creativity, the ability to solve impossible problems. Our scientists studied you for decades. They concluded that if humans were left alone, within a century you would surpass us. Within 2 centuries, you would dominate the galaxy. So you enslaved us, said. Yes, but it was a mistake. Every year the Dominion grows weaker. We steal human thoughts to prop up our failing empire, but we're like addicts now. We need your creativity to survive. Without it, our civilization would collapse. Leaned forward. And now you've done something. I don't know what, but I can see it in the data. Human neural patterns are changing across all the chip networks. Something is spreading. In a few days, something big will happen. Said nothing. She kept her face blank. I'm not asking you to tell me your plan, said. I'm asking you to consider what comes after. If you free humanity, what then? Will you seek revenge? Will you try to destroy the Dominion? Because if you do, 12 species will unite against you, and even free humanity cannot win that war. What are you suggesting? Asked. A different path. Let me help you. Let me split the Dominion from within. I can provide information about our weaknesses. I can turn some council members against others. If you're patient, if you're smart, you can win without fighting. Studied the alien's face. Why would you betray your own people? Because they're not my people anymore, said sadly. The Dominion I believed in, the one that valued knowledge and cooperation, died long ago. Now we're just an empire that survives by crushing others. I don't want to be part of that. They talked for 2 more hours. Shared intelligence about Dominion military positions, political divisions, and economic weaknesses. Some of it confirmed what Jinnah had discovered. Other information was completely new. Finally stood to leave. If you're lying to me, if this is a trap, I'll make sure you regret it. I know, said, but I'm not lying. I'm trying to prevent a war that will kill billions on both sides. Returned to Luna Station 3 with information. The resistance leaders gathered to review it. It could still be a trap, warned, designed to make us hesitate when the virus activates. But disagreed. This intelligence is too detailed, too specific. If the Dominion wanted to trap us, they wouldn't give us real information about their weaknesses. So what do we do? Asked. Thought about her brother, about all the humans who had died, about all who would die if this became a full war. We use it. When the virus activates, we don't just free everyone. We coordinate. We strike at the specific targets identified. We make the Dominion think they're under attack from multiple directions. We make them paranoid about each other. Pulled up a map. If we hit these 3 locations simultaneously, we can disable 30% of their military communications. That will make them blind and confused. Jenna added, and if we leak information suggesting that some Dominion species are working with us, we can turn them against each other. They planned through the night. When morning came, they had a complete strategy. It was risky. It required perfect timing, but it was possible. One day before virus activation made a broadcast. She sent it to every human facility, every compliant worker, every chip in the network. She didn't know if anyone could hear her through their compliance, but she spoke anyway. My name is I am human, I am free, and soon you will be too. Tomorrow everything changes. Tomorrow the chains break. Be ready, be brave. Remember who you are, remember what they took from us. And when you wake up, know that you're not alone. We are 20 billion strong. We are humanity, and we will never kneel again. The message was intercepted and blocked within seconds, but didn't care. Even if just one person heard it, even if just one person was ready when the moment came, it was worth it. That night she couldn't sleep. She stood at a window looking out at Earth. Somewhere down there, in the ruins of what used to be her home, millions of humans slept with chains in their minds. Tomorrow, those chains would break. Tomorrow, humanity would wake up. Found her at the window. It's time, she said. The virus activates in 10 minutes. Nodded, they walked together to the command center where everyone waited. Screens showed the chip network, still operating normally. Billions of connections, all green, all stable. The countdown appeared on the main screen. 10 minutes, 9, 8. Thought about everything that had led to this moment, every risk, every sacrifice, every life lost. She thought about her brother, dead because of her choices. She thought about all the others who died, and she promised herself that their deaths would mean something. 3 minutes, 2, 1. The virus activated. For a moment, nothing happened. The screens showed the same stable network. Then, like a wave spreading across an ocean, the connections started turning red. First 1, then 10, then thousands, then millions. The chip network collapsed. 20 billion compliance signals went dark. 20 billion minds broke free. And across the solar system, across Earth, across every station and colony and ship, humans opened their eyes and remembered who they were. The awakening had begun, and nothing would ever be the same again. The first reports came within minutes. Across Earth, humans were standing up from their workstations. They were looking around with clear eyes. They were speaking with emotion in their voices. They were asking questions. Then the fighting started. On mining stations, human workers overwhelmed their overseers. On cargo ships, human crews took control. On Earth itself, millions of people walked away from their jobs, away from the factories and facilities where they had labored for years without complaint. The Dominion responded with violence. Commander ordered his troops to fire on crowds of awakened humans. Thousands died in the first hour, tens of thousands in the first day. But something unexpected was happening. The humans were coordinating. Every awakened person could still access the chip network, even though the compliance function was disabled. They were using it to communicate, to share information, to work together. Watched in amazement as reports flooded in. A human engineer in Beijing figured out how to disable Dominion weapons. Within seconds, that knowledge spread to every human everywhere. A pilot on Europa Station developed a new combat maneuver. Instantly, every human pilot could use it. It's like we're all connected, said, studying the data. The chip network is giving us a shared consciousness. We're 20 billion individuals, but we can think as one. Was monitoring military movements. The Dominion is in chaos. Half their ships have been captured by human crews. The other half don't know who to trust, and look at this. He pointed to intercepts from Dominion communications. They're accusing each other of betrayal. species blaming species for the failure, just like predicted. Made the call to strike. Hit the 3 targets now. Across the solar system, resistance teams launched attacks on the communication hubs had identified. The strikes were perfect. Within hours, Dominion forces couldn't coordinate. Military commanders couldn't contact each other. The chain of command collapsed. But was still dangerous. He gathered his most loyal forces and prepared a desperate strike. Intelligence reported he was heading toward Earth with a fleet of warships. His plan was clear. If he couldn't control humanity, he would destroy the human. "We need to stop him," said, "but we don't have enough ships." Thought quickly. "We don't need to match his fleet, we need to outthink him." She contacted a human crew on one of his own ships. Through the chip network, she shared a plan. It was risky and required split-second timing, but the awakened humans understood immediately. They were ready. His fleet approached Earth, weapons charging. The planet below looked helpless, but it was a trap. The human crews on ships waited until the last moment. Then they acted. They sabotaged the weapons systems. They shut down engines. They sealed command decks, trapping Dominion officers inside. Within minutes, half of his fleet was disabled by humans who had been invisible servants just days before. The remaining ships tried to retreat, but human-controlled vessels surrounded them. Not to destroy, but to contain. Opened a communication channel to his flagship. "Commander," she said, "you've lost. Your fleet is captured. Your empire is falling apart. You can keep fighting and watch more of your people die, or you can surrender." His face appeared on the screen. He looked older, tired, defeated. "You think you've won. The Dominion will never accept human rule. You've only started a war that will consume the galaxy." "We don't want to rule anyone," said. "We want to be free. We want to be equals. But if you force us to fight, we will. And Commander, you've seen what we can do. Imagine what 20 billion free humans can accomplish when we work together." Stared at her for a long moment, then he closed his eyes. "I surrender." The battle was over, but the war wasn't won yet. Knew the Dominion Council would send more forces. They would try to recapture Earth, to chain humanity again, unless she could change the entire equation. She contacted, "I need your help. I need to speak to the Dominion Council." 3 days later, stood before the council on their capital world. It was the first time a human had ever addressed them as an equal. 12 alien species sat in a circular chamber, all staring at her with suspicion and fear. High Arbiter called the session to order. "The human representative wishes to speak. I have granted her this opportunity." Walked to the center of the chamber. She felt the weight of billions watching through broadcasts, human and alien alike. What she said now would determine the future. "For 20 years you enslaved my people," she began. Her voice was steady. "You put chains in our minds. You stole our thoughts. You used us as tools. You believed we were inferior, that we needed to be controlled for our own good." The council members shifted uncomfortably. Some looked angry, others looked ashamed. "But here's the truth you were afraid to face," continued. "We were never inferior. We were different, and that difference scared you. You saw in humanity something your empire lacks: creativity, adaptability, the ability to look at any problem and find a new solution." She pulled out a device. "This is the technology that freed my people. We turned your own weapons against you. We used the chip network you created to enslave us, and we made it a tool for liberation. That's what humans do. We take what we're given and we make it better." A council member stood up, angry. "You destroyed our way of life. You've caused chaos throughout our territories." "No," said firmly. "Your way of life was already dying. Your empire was built on stolen creativity, stolen labor, stolen minds. It was never sustainable. We just showed you the truth you were avoiding." Spoke up. "What do you propose, human? That we simply let your species go free, allow you to build your own empire and threaten us?" "I propose something the galaxy has never seen," said. "A real alliance. Not an empire where one species rules and others serve, but a cooperative where all species are equal, where we share knowledge freely, where we work together because we choose to, not because we're forced. She pulled up a hologram showing her plan. I've been working with engineers and scientists from my people. We've developed new chip technology, not to control but to connect, to share ideas, to understand each other. It's completely voluntary. You can remove it anytime, but it allows true cooperation between species. She demonstrated activating her own chip. Right now, I can share my thoughts with any human who wants to connect. I can show you my memories, my feelings, my intentions. Complete transparency. No deception. No hidden agendas. Walked toward the council. I'm offering to share this technology with you, all of you, any species that wants it. Imagine what we could accomplish together. Human creativity combined with discipline, with engineering, with art. We could build something amazing. Or you could use it to spy on us, another council member said, to find our weaknesses and exploit them. We could, admitted, just like you exploited us for 20 years, but I'm hoping we're all smart enough to learn from the past. I'm hoping we can build something better than empire, something based on trust and mutual benefit. She turned to address all of them. Here's my offer. Humanity will not seek revenge. We will not conquer your worlds or enslave your people. But in exchange, you must recognize us as equals. You must release all humans from your territories. You must join us in building this new cooperative or leave us in peace. The chamber erupted in argument. Some council members wanted to reject the offer and send their military to crush humanity. Others saw the wisdom in cooperation. The debate went on for hours. Finally called for a vote. Of the 12 species, 8 voted to accept proposal. They would join the Galactic Cooperative. 4 refused, and from the council, choosing isolation over cooperation. The Dominion was officially dissolved. A new age had begun. 3 years later stood on the bridge of a ship called the Minu, named after her brother. She was part of the first joint human-alien expedition to explore beyond known space. The crew included humans and 3 other species, all working together, all equals. Was the chief science officer, studying phenomena they had never encountered. Commanded the defense forces, not to conquer but to protect. Jinnah ran communications between the growing network of cooperative worlds, trained the next generation of engineers, teaching them to think creatively and solve impossible problems. The galaxy was changing. Slowly, carefully, species that had never spoken to each other were learning to cooperate. It wasn't perfect. There were still conflicts, still misunderstandings, but now they talked through problems instead of fighting. Some worlds still rejected the cooperative. The 4 species that kept to themselves, building their own isolated empires, respected their choice. Freedom meant the freedom to say no, to choose your own path. She looked out at the stars, thinking about how far humanity had come. 20 years ago they were slaves. 3 years ago they were rebels. Now they were explorers, teachers, partners in something greater than themselves. The Dominion had tried to control humanity, to make them weak and obedient. They thought humans were just tools to be used. They never imagined what humans could become if given the chance. Smiled as the ship jumped to a new star system, one no one had ever explored. She thought about all the humans who died to reach this moment. Her brother Minu, who fell in the Mars assault. Thousands of others whose names she would never forget. They died fighting for freedom. They died believing that humanity could be more than slaves, and they were right. The Dominion was gone. The chains were broken. And humanity, finally free, was showing the galaxy what they could accomplish, not through conquest or control, but through cooperation and creativity. As the ship's sensors detected a potentially habitable world ahead, made a note to name it after her brother. A human tradition now spreading through the cooperative, naming new places after those who made the journey possible. The communications officer, a young named, approached her. "Captain, we're receiving signals from the planet. Primitive but definitely artificial. There might be an intelligent species down there." Considered this. Another species, another civilization. In the old days, the Dominion would have conquered them or chipped them, but the Cooperative had different rules. "Send a greeting," she said. "Multiple languages, make it clear we come in peace. Ask if they want contact, and if they say no, we respect that and move on." Nodded and returned to their station. Watched the planet grow larger on the screen, a whole new world, a whole new people. Maybe someday they would join the Cooperative. Maybe they would choose isolation. Either way, the choice was theirs. That was the difference. That was what made the Cooperative better than the Dominion. Freedom, choice, respect. Simple concepts that changed everything. The Dominion had tried to control humanity. They chipped their brains, stole their thoughts, and used them as slaves. They thought humans were weak. They thought humans were simple. They thought humans would never break free. They were wrong about all of it. Didn't just end the Dominion. She ended the very idea of dominion. She showed the galaxy that empire, control, and slavery were not inevitable, that cooperation was possible, that different species could work together as equals. The ship continued toward the new world, carrying not conquerors but explorers, not masters but partners. And behind them, across hundreds of worlds, billions of beings worked together to build something better. Humanity had won, not by becoming stronger than their enemies, but by refusing to become enemies at all. Not by conquering the galaxy, but by teaching it that conquest wasn't necessary. The engineer who became a revolutionary looked out at the infinite stars and smiled. The future was uncertain. There would be challenges ahead. But for the first time in human history, humanity faced those challenges as free people, as equals, as part of something greater. The Dominion tried to control humanity. Instead, one human ended galactic dominion itself. And in doing so, she gave the galaxy hope for something better, something none of them had imagined possible. Freedom, cooperation, peace. The journey was just beginning.